This week we studied a portion of Vaera. We begin with God sending Moshe back to Pharaoh to warn him against keeping the Jewish people in Egypt. He then tells Moshe that he will bring punishment about Pharaoh until he will be forced to let the people out. As an introduction to the 10 plagues, God tells Moshe in chapter 7 verse 3, I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and he will not listen to you, will not let the Jewish people out, so I can bring all the 10 plagues upon Egypt and Pharaoh. And in this week's portion, we read about the first 7 of the 10 plagues. Many commentators, including Rashi, are asking, when did God harden Pharaoh's heart? By which plague, at which stage, Pharaoh refused the Jewish people out, not on his own, but because God had forced him not to let the people out. The first time we find that Pharaoh did not let the people out because God hardened his heart is only from the 6th plague. In other words, the first 5 we read that Pharaoh hardened his heart and refused to let the people out. He did it on his own. The 6th plague and on, every single one from after the 6th plague, we read God hardened Pharaoh's heart and he did not allow the people out. So the question is, did God harden his heart the last 5 or the entire 10 plagues? Some rabbis maintain that the first 5, Pharaoh on his own refused the Jewish people, and therefore he was punished with the first 5 plagues, and against those 5 times God hardened his heart, but still he was punished with 5 other plagues for the first 5 where he did it on his own choice. However, Rashi, it seems, maintained, based on the text, that God tells Moshe, I will harden Pharaoh's heart, meaning I'll harden Pharaoh's heart from the outset. That means even the first 5. Even though the Torah does not tell us that God hardened his heart, it does not exclude this from the first 5. It doesn't mean it didn't happen. It's just that the Torah didn't record it. So perhaps, as Rashi maintained and other commentators, that God hardened Pharaoh's heart for the entire 10 plagues. Then the natural question is, why punish somebody if he is not the catalyst? If God is the one who hardened his heart and prevented him from letting the Jewish people out, then he should not be punished. The Egyptians shouldn't be punished for doing something that God ordered them to do. The Rebbe explains that, of course, we can say that God hardened his heart from the first plague and on. However, he and the Egyptians, Pharaoh and the Egyptians, had such an evil desire to hurt the Jewish people that on their own they wanted to hurt them and they wanted to enslave them, and they refused to allow them out of Egypt. So even though at the end of the day you can say God hardened his heart, yet they are not excused from the punishment, because without God hardening his heart, they still would have wanted and desired, and that would be their choice, to keep the Jewish people enslaved. And that's why, even if the Torah does not mention specifically on certain plagues that God hardened Pharaoh's heart, it actually is that God hardened his heart, and still he deserved to be punished, because without it he would still desire to harm the Jewish people. And I think the message for it can be quite powerful in the opposite way. Many times we choose to do good, or to do a mitzvah, or to act in the proper way because someone is supporting us, or God himself is creating the environment and the conditions for us to do good, and it is the natural kind of behavior. And yet someone might ask, why do you deserve a reward for it? You did it because God provided it for you, because God created the conditions for you. Perhaps you don't deserve so much credit. From Pharaoh's story we can learn whenever someone chooses to do good, even if God, so to say, is pushing him in that direction, and God provided him with all the means, and God creating it for him to be the natural and the easiest way to behave, yet the fact that the person still made that choice, he deserves full reward and full credit for it, and thus will be rewarded by God for a complete good deed without looking at everything around it. Just like Pharaoh was punished despite the fact that God created the environment and God hardened his heart, yet the fact that he made that choice, he deserved the full punishment. Thank you very much.